Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are diving into something absolutely fascinating, the unspoken truths of literally anyone you meet. Through some pretty incredible behavioral research, we're going to explore exactly how to read hidden stress, decode people's secret motives, and really understand the raw biology of human communication. So get comfortable and let's decode the human mind together. So, what is the person standing right in front of you really thinking? Well, to answer that, we first have to wrap our heads around a slightly uncomfortable truth about human behavior. It's highly malleable. Most of the time, people are being subconsciously influenced by their environment without even realizing it. I mean, they completely believe they're acting on pure logic, but underneath it all, primitive triggers are the ones actually pulling the strings. Picture this classic experiment. Researchers had a guy go up and ask random women for their phone numbers. Now, the rejection rate was predictably high, right? Except in one specific location, standing right in front of a flower shop. Because the flowers subconsciously primed the brain for romance, his success rate absolutely skyrocketed. And yet, when asked about it later, every single woman claimed, "I made a conscious decision." Spoiler alert, they absolutely didn't. Their environment made the choice for them. So, if our brains are just that easily swayed by our surroundings, how do we ever figure out what's actually going on inside someone's head? Well, that's where behavioral profiling comes in. You can think of it like peeling back the layers of an onion. We start from the physical tells right on the surface, and we work our way deep down into the subconscious masks people wear just to survive society. Let's look at how this actually plays out in real life. All right, since we spend the vast majority of our conversations staring directly at people's faces, that is exactly where our profiling begins. Now, while there are literally countless microexpressions out there, behavioral experts usually zero in on three primary facial signs of hidden stress and cognitive load, and those are the blink rate, the lower eyelid, and lip compression. Let's start with the eyes. 15 to 17. That is your magic number. You see, in a normal, completely relaxed conversation, a human being is going to blink somewhere between 15 and 17 times per minute. It's totally subconscious, but it sets our baseline. When you're talking to someone and their blink rate is hovering right around there, they're comfortable, their brain is processing information at a perfectly normal pace. But watch what happens when you introduce a difficult topic. If you ask a question and someone's blink rate suddenly skyrockets to 80 or more blinks per minute, you need to pay close attention. I mean, unless they literally just got sand in their eye, you are witnessing an extreme hidden stress response. Their brain is under a massive cognitive load. There's no single magical tell for lying, but a jump to 80 plus blinks absolutely proves that whatever you just said triggered massive internal stress. Now, flip that completely around. What if the blink rate absolutely plummets? A massive drop to just 3 or 4 blinks per minute indicates deep, unwavering hyperfocus. If you are, say, explaining a complex concept or pitching a new idea, and their blink rate drops to 3 per minute, congratulations, you have their undivided attention. They are totally and completely absorbed. Okay, staying right there at the eyes, there's another totally incredible tell. Behavioral experts and even stage hypnotists have noted that people with perfectly smooth lower eyelids tend to be highly suggestible. They're open, they're relaxed, they're easily guided. On the flip side, though, highly skeptical people, the ones who spend a lifetime scrutinizing and doubting every little thing, they actually etch wrinkles into their lower eyelids over time from constantly squinting in disbelief. It is literally a map of their personality etched right onto their face. All right, moving down to the mouth, let's talk about the lips. If you see someone press their lips tightly together into a thin line, which we call lip compression, it almost universally means they are withholding an opinion or holding back a thought. But if you see lip retraction, which is where they sort of suck their lip back past the barrier of their teeth, that signals a deep, subconscious need for reassurance. It's basically a physical self-soothing mechanism for when they feel uncertain. So, we've looked at the surface, but this brings up a massive question, doesn't it? Why does the body betray our deepest secrets in the first place? Like, why can't we just control our blinks and our lips to hide what we're feeling? To answer that, we have to transition from those physical tells on the outside to the biological engine running underneath it all. And that brings us straight to the brain. We essentially have two competing systems up there. We've got the prefrontal cortex, that's the logical, advanced part of our brain handling emotional control and complex choices. But then we have the primitive mammalian brain, specifically the amygdala, and that handles fear, stress, and raw survival. And here is the truly shocking part. Studies suggest this primitive, fear-driven system is actually calling the shots and controlling our actions up to 80% of the time. And because this mammalian brain is driving the bus so often, it can literally override your logic. When we feel threatened in a conversation, even if it's just socially threatened, the sympathetic nervous system triggers what experts call an amygdala hijack. This hijack lasts for about 13 seconds and it causes erratic behavior, stress, sweating, maybe a racing heart. Basically, for those 13 seconds, your logical brain is locked out of the room and pure survival instinct takes the wheel. And when that 13-second hijack hits, it literally alters how we stand and sit, physically forcing us to cover our most vulnerable organs. When men feel threatened or insecure during a chat, they will subconsciously shift their hands to cover their groin area. Women, on the other hand, will typically cross their arms a bit lower, protecting their abdomen. It is just a raw, evolutionary guard against perceived danger. Okay, so that's the raw biology. Let's pivot over to the psychological layer. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche argued that people rarely speak from pure logic. Instead, they're usually speaking from their unhealed pain and fear. To function in the world, we create what's called a psychological mask. It's this stitched-together persona, designed not to express who we truly are, but to protect us and help us survive society's endless judgments. When you look through Nietzsche's lens, you can actually start to decode that mask. Excessive virtue and loud moralizing, for instance? Yeah, that is very often just a mask for hidden vanity. What about the person who is hypercritical of everyone else? They are usually just projecting the very traits they absolutely hate within themselves. And that aggressively, overly confident person is very often wearing dominance as a costume to cover up some deep inner guilt. The absolute key takeaway here is that exaggeration is volume. When someone uses extreme exaggeration, claiming they literally never care what anyone thinks or obsessively trying to micromanage every tiny detail of their environment, their ego is frantically turning up the volume. You always have to ask yourself, what is that loud mask trying to silence? Because almost always, it's their own inner chaos and a deep fear of falling apart. And, these biological and psychological defense mechanisms don't just pop up in casual conversation. They dictate our entire lives. Just look at our finances. Behavioral economists call this the ostrich effect. Our mammalian brain protects us from the stress of being broke by making us actively avoid looking at our bank accounts when funds are low. Just like an ostrich burying its head in the sand. We literally blind ourselves just to avoid triggering that amygdala stress response. All right, we've covered the biological triggers, the facial tells, the psychological masks, but honestly, this knowledge is only useful if you can actually apply it. So let's open up the Profiler's Playbook. Let's take all of this incredible insight and look at how you can practically use it out in the real world to read others and navigate your conversations with total authority. So here are your top 3 immediate real-world takeaways. Number 1, always profile for sudden changes in behavior. You're not just looking for a generally fast blink rate. You're looking for the exact moment a normal blink rate suddenly spikes. Number 2, never sit facing someone directly head-on at 180 degrees. It actually triggers their mammalian brain's adversarial alarm. Instead, sit at a slight angle. And number 3, when you speak, keep your hands right at navel height with open palms. This completely bypasses their defenses and instantly builds deep subconscious trust. To wrap this all up, I want to leave you with a rather chilling yet profound thought from Friedrich Nietzsche. Every profound spirit needs a mask. So the next time you're in a conversation, pay attention. Look at their blink rate, watch their hands, and listen closely for the exaggeration. Ask yourself, what mask is the person in front of you wearing? And more importantly, what exactly are they hiding underneath it? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it leaves you hungry to observe the world in a whole new way.